Live in the Micro Gallery with Paul Harris. Hi Paul, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. So you're bringing today our very first poetry session.
Hey, breaking new ground there.
It's crazy. So tell us a little bit about your poetry. I mean, what got you into poetry? How did you start?
Well, what got me in, I think probably, growing up in a family where everything, mum and dad loved words.
Yeah.
Both sort of did public speaking, mum did a writing, and we met a few writers and people along the way. You think, oh, is that fun man having a cup of tea or dinner at the table? And then found out, it's sometimes, when I was over years later, helped that they were famous. So I always loved words, and then over the years I've always worked in different things with people, so I've always written a bit of poetry and other stuff. I'm useless at taking photos. So the first time I went on a school trip, they sent me off with a camera and we came back as pictures of Norway with my finger in every single picture. I don't know, literally everyone. So after that I thought, I'm useless at taking photos. So when I went places, I'd write little bits and bobs. And then one thing grew to another, so I read them and kept them to myself. I think like lots of people, when I go and perform, people say, I write a bit of poetry, like it's a guilty secret, and want to try and encourage. And then a couple of years ago, sort of change of life, we had to change our circumstances and move to a new area, and for the first time I was able to think, I can write and not have to worry about doing other stuff as well. So started writing a bit more poetry, and one thing led to another.
So I mean the poetry scene, which I'm kind of very pleased to say scene, because it's really emerged, certainly over the past sort of couple of years. There's a lot of poetry going on, a lot of poetry events.
Yeah, there is. I mean, everyone jokes, says, oh, it's the new rock and roll. Well, whether it is or isn't, the reality is I think poetry has made a real sort of comeback, if I can call it that. I love it when people say to me, I'm not normally into poetry, but, and then they realise there is accessible poetry and lots of different strands. Yeah. I've come down from, Cheltenham, Gloucestershire. The literary scene's meant to be really sort of strong there, and it is. But the poetry scene down here is really, really vibrant. I mean, thanks to people like yourselves, but there are a lot of really, really good events.
Yeah, it's all coming up. So I mean, obviously, for performance, where do you take your poetry?
When I take my poetry, well, anyone will have me really. I would say, people who watch this think, how do I get going? Doing open mic is great. You conquer your nerves. So there are regular events, certainly in Bournemouth, the Winchester, they do great stuff there, big shout out for them. Freeway Poets, it's a monthly, really, really good event, all types of stuff. Steve Biddle, he has been really generous in terms of welcoming people into the Miramar, so we do some stuff there monthly. Go to Southampton and do some things, and then as the summer comes you think, hey, festivals, get the shorts on and the Crocs and let's get out there.
Yeah, that's great. So subject matter in your poems, I mean, do you have a sort of formula as to how you write, or does it just come?
I don't have a formula. I think I've always been a people watcher, and I think lots of poets are. So quite often I'll just see very simple things in life, make a little note in the notebook. Might be a poem I wrote called Shoe in the Road. How many times you see a shoe in the road? I read about that. Watching a nun do some window shopping, she became Miss World, bless her. So I tend to write about people. I write about issues in life, try and make the most of life. The sense of all of us are on the clock, so take each day and make the most of it. So those are sort of recurring themes, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well we'll get on and hear some poetry. So what are you going to read for us today?
Well, I thought I'd read some shorter ones. I've been experimenting with doing some narrative poetry, telling stories in poems, but generally I think people like the fact that I will do a short poem, and they either get it and like it or not. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 things from Best Before, the first collection of poems, which you guys have kept here in the gallery, so good to see that. And then 1 or 2 other more recent ones, something I wrote for International Women's Day just a few days ago and stuff. So.
Super, okay, we'll get on. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Harris.
I've been wondering what's going to happen with Facebook as sadly sort of friends die. Do we keep their pages? I've got this feeling there's a danger it's going to become the great mausoleum, the worldwide mausoleum. So here's a poem called Virtual Immortality. I do not plan to die. All you that pass by will find me here years hence, my status refreshed on a regular basis. In my will, I make a generous bequest on condition of fulfilling a simple request. Take on my Facebook account. Update my Twitter with conversational litter. Do not RIP me or declare me deceased. Let me remain linked in even when I've passed on. Permit me to keep in touch from afar, courtesy of my avatar. Best before. Her hand on his arm, love and a lifetime of trust in her grasp. They make their way slowly down the aisle, to the cheese counter, where with evident charm he orders a morsel of cheddar they will share together. Later, with a cracker or two and a milky drink in matching mugs dispatched with a playful clink. Good health, chin chin, down the hatch. Try not to get up too often in the night. They turn to the right to see what is left on the bargain shelf. Sell-by dates and best before. Bespoke food for those with fading memories, a weedy border and shrinking purse. Beans, tuna, brown bananas and a small hovis. They scrabble for a bargain, their dignity in shreds. He did his national service. They were members of the Never Had It So Good Brigade, but now bewildered and betrayed, they find themselves in reduced circumstances. It's one of those poems with lots of twists. I do like a twist and a play on words. Some of the poems are autobiographical, surely not this one. Menopausal Brain. He blew. 50 candles went out. Instantaneously, the menopausal brain cut in. Week by week, it strengthened its grip on his version of reality. Young girls noticed him in the street, catching his eye as he rode by on his Harley-Do. It dawned on him, a tattoo would be fun to do. His complicit barber agreed. Leaving it longer with highlights suited him well. He joined the gym, took Pilates. People admired his air guitar at parties. A few in the know stayed silent, best maintain the status quo. He began to swim against a tide of masculine pride, shot through with regret as time slipped by. The next one's called Splinters. It's in modern sonnet form about relationships. His first kiss was with the girl next door, through a hole in the fence, the missing slat affording easy access. At the risk of splinters, they drew close and puckered up, thrilled by tremors of desire and the sweet aftertaste of pleasure. Their last kiss was a perfunctory affair. Their bridges broken beyond repair, they battled for custody. As they drew apart, his heart splintered, shell-shocked, they mucked up, choked on the bitter gall of blame and regret. Bridges are harder to mend than fences, splinters in fingers, more readily fixed than dreams in tatters. And my final one, when I have a writing day, I often start with a walk down onto the beach at Southbourne, and this is called Awake My Soul and With the Sun. Herring gull, cormorant and I stood, the water lapping shin high. We shared a shimmering turquoise and sky blue meditation. The rising sun kissed us gently as a tissue moon ended her shift. Needles had yet to pierce the morning mist, but old Harry shone to greet the day like an exuberant rooster. Herring gull led a prayer of praise. Cormorant raised her wings in blessing. I bowed my head and smiled the grace.